In the football boot industry, I don't want to say that we as consumers have been brainwashed, but we've certainly been led to believe that new technology, more complexity, different ways of achieving a final product of a football boot is the way forward. And in a lot of ways, we've achieved higher levels of objective performance through these types of innovations. But sometimes less is more. And I hate to say that there's a perfect product out there, but inside this box, I think is a pair of football boots that is as close to perfect as anything that you can currently buy. And the boots that I'm talking about are the made in Japan Mizuno Morelia 2s. They are very expensive with a retail price of $280, but in the scope of what it's trying to be as a pair of football boots, it's pretty much perfect. And regular viewers of this channel know that I am hypercritical of every little detail on a football boot, sometimes annoyingly so, but in the scope of what these boots represent and are trying to be, they are nearly flawless. And I understand that there's a huge personal preference aspect to football boots. If you're a big fan of Mercurials, these might not be your thing, but in terms of build quality, quality of materials, the fit, the feel, the overall comfort, even objective performance, this is as close to flawless as I think you can get from any football boot that money can buy. And while they're expensive, I think they're well worth it if you're looking for the pinnacle of what a classic leather football boot can possibly be. With that in mind, I'm gonna go over all the details and what I think is so great about these in today's video, as well as of course how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more about what I think is as close to perfection as we've ever seen in the football boot industry, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself, especially in this new ignition red colorway, extremely vibrant, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's gonna take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail price. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and want to see more reviews of smaller brands on the channel, please don't forget to support this video with a like. And I've also noticed that a lot of you who watch these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. If that's you, it would mean a lot to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So let me start off by answering this question: how much have Mizuno paid you to say such nice things about their products? And the answer to that question is $0.00. They have not paid me for this video, they have never paid me for any past videos, and they've just never paid me in general, nor do I think Mizuno is going to be paying me at any point in the future. I don't want their money, I just want to bring light to a brand and a product that truly, I guess, encompasses the concept of taking a really good idea and building on it year after year after year, always maintaining that original formula, but making it that little bit better every single time they release a new variation. Now, normally when I review a pair of football boots, we go over the tech specs, where I would highlight all of the technology featured across the entire football boot, a lot of which can be very beneficial to performance as well as fit and comfort, but almost always do we come across little elements that just don't need to be there. They're gimmicky, if you will. In the case of the Made in Japan Morelia 2, there's not a lot as far as technology is concerned. It's a simple kangaroo leather upper, central lacing system, traditional tongue, low-cut design, and a Soleplate end stud pattern that is pretty old school by today's standards, although looks can be a little bit deceiving. We'll get into that in just a second. Instead, what I think this football boot does better than anything else out there is refinement and build quality. We talk a lot about durability of modern day football boots being a lot worse than it used to be. If you want a football boot that is built to last, this is absolutely one of the most durable boots money can buy. So we'll start with the upper, which is kangaroo leather. And I think a lot of people see kangaroo leather listed in tech specs and they automatically assume it's going to be the same every single time, regardless of which model and regardless of which brand. That's not the case at all. The treatment process, even just the quality of the specific leather itself, does vary a lot from brand to brand and model to model. But if you truly want the best of the best as far as kangaroo leather is concerned, it's this. The Morelia 2, the Made in Japan variation, has the nicest kangaroo leather you will find on any football boot, period. The new treatment process, the slightly thinned out leather versus past variations of the Morelia, means that this is not only incredibly soft and comfortable on your feet, it moves so naturally with the bend of your foot, but the touch on the ball is not bulky whatsoever. I think a lot of people look at something like this and they automatically want to compare it to a classic Copa Mundial, which is a bulky, clunky, kind of sloppy football boot by today's standards. As great as they are, they're certainly not for everybody. This has a much more modern feel than I think you would expect. Also, stability and lack of a responsive feel is something that a lot of people don't like about full leather football boots. This Mizuno Runbird that you have across the side of the boot, made in a synthetic material, is strategic. It's reinforcing the midfoot area of the boot, and the leather itself with the liner on the inside does provide some really nice structure. So while they're definitely not going to be as responsive as something, say, a pair of Nike Mercurials, they are much more responsive than any other football boot in this category, along with being incredibly soft and super consistent in terms of touch, because the entire upper is made out of kangaroo leather, tongue included. Speaking of the tongue, this boot actually has one, which is quite refreshing in a world of football boots where everything seems to have a one-piece upper with this elasticated knit material, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great direction for modern football boots to go into. But if you just want something that feels a little bit more normal and arguably ends up wrapping your foot a little bit better because it can just expand more due to the opening being an actual opening, you might prefer a standard tongue versus a one-piece upper for a more traditional leather football boot. Laces run directly down the middle, which is something that I'm a big fan of, nice and deep as well, so you get plenty of tension and tightness with the laces tied tight. And then also something that is different with the new Morelia 2 is the lack of fold over tongue. That was kind of a classic Morelia element, but in modern times, I think people have come to realize that it's not much of a technology for the sake of control to have an extra piece of leather folded over top of your laces to just create more bulk. So they've eliminated it entirely, and I think the boot is not only better off visually for it, but it feels much cleaner when you're actually wearing them. Although if I do have one complaint about these boots, it is the laces, which are this kind of cotton material. You can see they're very fuzzy, they look a little bit cheap, they feel nice, but what's weird about the material is it actually absorbs a significant amount of water and they just get really dirty really easily. They're replaceable, but not my favorite. Moving to the rear, the boot does feature the Morelia low cut, which is a little bit more straight along the sides, but still cut low enough to where it's very comfortable in terms of how it wraps the sides of your heel / ankle area. It's cut a little bit lower at the back as well, has this kind of deep groove right there for your Achilles tendon to kind of sit very comfortably in. And then internally, you're gonna find this lining material that kind of has this synthetic leather type feel to it, but it's a little bit grippy. They change it ever so slightly in comparison to past Morelias, and it feels fantastic. There's not a ton of padding back here, but they've got the shaping of the heel so down at this point that it locks your heel in place and just feels incredibly comfortable right out of the box. You're also going to find an internal plastic heel counter for the sake of structure and shape at the back of the boot. And then the insole is fully removable as well and features this really soft synthetic suede liner on the surface and is made from a single layer of this black foam with this really nice Morelia detail through the midfoot. Which brings us to the weight, where I think a lot of big brands have changed the perception of certain types of football boots, where you might look at a Morelia 2 with its leather upper, traditional looking sole plate, and just the general style of football boot, it would lead you to believe that this is much heavier than some of the more popular modern high-tech stuff. But what if I told you that the weight of this Morelia 2 wasn't that different than the Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite, which is the latest and greatest in high-tech football boots from Nike, probably the most popular top-end model of 2021. So I'm gonna weigh them for you in real time. We'll start with the Mercurials, which in a size 9.5 US, weigh in at 7.3 ounces, the equivalent of 206 grams. Remember those numbers. We'll change the scale back to ounces and we'll throw on the Morelia 2, which weigh in at 7.7 ounces, the equivalent of 218 grams. So you're talking about a weight difference of literally 12 grams between a Morelia 2 and a Mercurial Vapor. Do these boots feel different on feet in terms of overall fit and feel? Absolutely. Are they that different when it comes to weight? Almost not at all. Which leads us to the sole plate and stud pattern, where, like I mentioned earlier, looks can be deceiving because you might automatically assume that this is going to feel similar to something like a classic Copa Mundial with its thicker plastic that's a little bit on the heavy side. And one thing that has undeniably evolved in the football boot technology space over the years, it's the type of plastics they use in the sole plate. The new ones are just a lot lighter, and this utilizes new plastic with the older style design, where again, Contrary to what a lot of brands would lead you to believe, where you kind of need this Soleplate design that looks like it came straight out of space in order to have a lightweight feel to the boots, you don't need that. You just need lighter plastics. And Mizuno have done that while still retaining the classic element of the Morelia. You'll also notice that the Soleplate is riveted to the upper, 3 in the heel, 3 at the tip of the toe, along with the general build quality that you're going to get with the Made in Japan Mizuno product, which is just the best of the best. These are made like a pair of pro-issued football boots would be made. The durability is truly unmatched in this category of football boots, and really across the board as far as high-end boots go. You truly do get what you pay for in terms of build quality. And then as far as the stud pattern is concerned, the stud pattern is very traditional. There's no other way to say it. I know that some people just prefer a more aggressive bladed stud pattern, and if that's you, maybe these aren't going to be your cup of tea, but this is one of those stud patterns that, again, despite what brands would lead you to believe, is totally effective by today's standards and arguably a little bit safer in terms of giving you that freedom to twist and pivot. Definitely not as much bite when pushing off, but again, stud patterns are more of a personal preference thing more than anything. On feet, the Made in Japan Morelia 2 might make you question what you thought a comfortable football boot was, because these are that much more comfortable than pretty much anything else out there. It's pretty unbelievable. The softness of the upper, the flexibility of the sole plate, they're just insane. Also, I know there's going to be people that are not crazy about this style of boot, maybe concerned about the responsiveness and the lockdown. I can tell you it's not an issue, but if you want to help with that sort of thing, some grip socks might be a great thing to try out. If you're looking for some affordable ones, I'm wearing some Pure Grip socks, which for those that don't know, is my own brand of grip socks. They're available in a wide variety of colors for the extremely affordable price of just $14.99. If you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to go to is puregripsocks.com, which will be linked down below. As far as everything else is concerned, the leather feels phenomenal. The flexibility of the boot is, I would say, much more flexible than a lot of the more modern knit or synthetic stuff, especially the sole plate. It doesn't have that kind of, I guess, kickback responsiveness that you get from some of the more, I guess, speed boot style of football boots out there. If you want something that is more speed boot-esque, that kind of matches this boot in terms of quality and maybe relates closer to the more modern stuff, definitely a Morelia Neo 3 Beta or even Morelia 3 Elite would not be a bad choice for you. But if you're just looking for purity, Morelia 2 that I'm wearing on feet is definitely the way to go. As far as width is concerned, they are shaped in such a way, paired with the soft leather, where they're gonna fit pretty much everybody and just stretch to the shape of your feet. These are not gonna overstretch though. The quality of the leather as well as the liner they've used is really well done. So as long as you get the right size out of the box, they're gonna fit perfectly after a few wears, although the break-in time is minimal to say the least, given how soft the leather is from the get-go. So even if you did have wider feet, these are gonna fit pretty much everybody. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order some for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Also, you might notice the laces have been changed on my right boot. These are some wide black reflective SR4U replacement laces, which I much prefer over the regular ones. I think the black laces give it a slightly more modern look as well. If you're interested in some of those, they're available at sr4ulaces.com. Also linked down below. I feel like in the last 10 years of making these videos, I've said countless times that the perfect football boot does not exist. There is no best football boot on the market, but the Made in Japan Morelia 2 really makes me question whether or not it's possible to make a perfect football boot, because in the scope of what this boot is trying to be, it does everything pretty well perfectly. There's nothing that I can think to change about it. And you could make the argument that a more aggressive stud pattern would be nice, but I think that's more of a personal preference thing, because I think what this offers is phenomenal and it matches what they've done with the upper. It's a football boot where they've legitimately trimmed all the fat, and truly what I can say is the best option if you are A, looking for the most comfortable football boot on the market, B, looking for the most refined boot on the market, C, looking for arguably the most well-made and durable boot on the market, or D, the boot with the best leather quality. This does all of those things exceptionally well, and while I fully understand that this is not a style of football boot for everybody, especially in 2021, if I were picking one pair of football boots to wear for the rest of my life from this point forward, I'd probably pick these. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, first link down below. You'll be able to pick them up with exclusive SR4U coupon codes below their normal retail price. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them down below in the comment section. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.